Hey friends, hope you've had a great week. Have you been using your fruit of the Spirit? Putting it into practice? Putting it into action? I know you have. You guys ready? Let's do our hand motions. Here we go. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. You guys remember which one we're on? It's goodness. Yep. Grab your Fruit of the Spirit journal and turn to page 26. It's the bright green pages. And I love what it says at the top because it says, who can really be good all the time? The one that's always, always good. It's only God, right? That's why for our hand motions, we lift our arms up to Him in praise, thanking Him for being so good to us. But He wants us to learn. He wants us to learn to put goodness into our hearts and souls and minds. So He's given us this verse, and it's written by Paul. And you know Paul has been through a lot, and he was still going through a lot when he wrote this verse in Philippians to the church. And he was in prison, and he wrote this verse. He wanted to encourage people and lift them up and tell them how to focus on God. So read this verse with me, would ya? All right. Finally, brothers or sisters or kids, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about these things and put them into practice. All right, so that's what God wanted. He wants us to think about these things. He doesn't want us to look and say, is it true or is it false? We want to look at what's true. Should we go for what's right or for what's wrong? Let's go for what's right. Put those kind of thoughts in your mind. Put those kind of thoughts in your heart. All right? And there's a world out there who doesn't want to put good things into us. And there's an enemy who doesn't want us to think about these things. He wants us to think about other things outside. Let me give you a funny example. When Bella was really little, she was about 3, she was watching TV, and we were all in the same room, but she was watching a commercial came on, and it said, you need to buy this laundry detergent because it's the only one that'll make your clothes white. It's better than all the rest, and you need to buy. And so she scurries into the kitchen, and she's like, Mom, we need to buy this laundry detergent because it's the only one, and blah, 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 buy. And I set her down, and I was like, Bella, just because someone's telling you something, everyone doesn't have the heart of God for you, right? Everyone doesn't want to always tell you the truth. Everyone doesn't always want to put lovely things in your mind. Sometimes they're trying just to get you to buy something. Sometimes they're trying to hurt you. Sometimes they're trying to manipulate you, right? And so you need to look and discern and say, is what I'm hearing in my ears, is what's coming into my mind, is it true? Is it noble, right, pure, lovely, admirable, excellent, or praiseworthy? Is that what's coming into me, or is it something other than that? And we need to get that out. So the funny part is a couple of weeks later, we're watching TV again and that commercial comes on and Bella goes, you're lying. So the commercial wasn't lying, but it was trying to get you to buy something, right? Think about what it is, why people are saying things to you. And if it's not one of these things, if it's not going into your mind as something beautiful, let's just cast it out. Let me show you how. All right, so let's pretend this bowl of water is just your pure heart and your mind. And people in the world, they want to tell you things like, you're not good enough, you're not worthy, you're not talented enough, you're not pretty enough. That's what all this black pepper is. All the nasty things people will tell you. All that stuff going in your mind. None of that is true or noble or right or lovely or pure. But then God says, don't believe that. Let's cast it out. Put some good clean soap. Did you see what happened? It all flew out to the side, casting those things out of your mind, out of your heart, believing in the truth, right? Okay, I told Bella I was going to do that little example, and she said a lot of teachers have been using that example to show about germs, about what we don't want to have inside of us, right? And so I started thinking about it. Yep, if that example could be used to get rid of germs, that's kind of what the words that people say to us that are not true and noble and right, those words are kind of like germs. They're germs for our mind and germs for our heart. We want to get rid of them, right? All right. Hey, let's take a look at these words in a little bit of a story. Now, I read this story to you guys back in April on Instagram and Facebook, so you guys can look it up. And coming very, very soon, you guys, we're also going to have our own TVC Kids Nashville YouTube channel. So you could go on. There's like 6 videos talking about this book, but it's a fun one. And I thought it just reminded me of some of these words and how they're put into a story. So let's take a look at it. I'll read just the very first part because we don't have time to read the whole story now, but you can find it on Instagram. All right. In the days when men of valor still guarded kings, a peaceful kingdom lay silent and dark beneath the stars. The ruler of that kingdom was kind and strong of heart. It was this good man's charge, that's his job, to guard the lantern of purest light, the lamp that brought peace and joy to his kingdom. So the squire in the scroll starts with a kingdom and the king that's overlooking all and wants to keep people safe, right? But on this dark and stormy night, everybody go dun 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 dun. A dragon flies in and steals the lantern. It has all the people so upset. And then we find our first word, noble. Here's the noble king. The king does not put himself first, but he puts his kingdom first. And he's like, I want to help my kingdom. We've got to find the lantern. So his last knight and a young squire come by, and they're going to take a noble quest to go find the lantern. Now, before the squire, who's a young boy, leaves, he goes back home and he seeks the truth. And the truth is found in his scroll, a little piece of paper, a scroll that rolls up that his mom and dad have been teaching him from the very beginning. Does it remind you of something? What's some paper that people have been teaching you from since you were little? Your mom and dad, me? Yeah. The scroll is like a Bible, right? All right. So they go on and they're believing in what's true. You could always count on the Bible to be true. All right. And they go, and along the way, they find some little presents or things left for them. Some of it's wool to put in their ears so they don't listen to things that are untrue or pure. Some of it's a shield to hold up when you see things that are out and you should not be looking at them, to hide your eyes when you shouldn't look at things, right? All right, so they're going to make sure that they only look at things that are pure and they only listen to things that are pure. So they find this cavern, and inside the cavern, the walls are covered in jewels. But the knight, his heart turned greedy, and he went up to reach for those jewels. And the squire says, but don't you see? Don't you see the evil carvings all around them? And he doesn't care about that. He just goes for the jewels. The knight, or the squire, pulls the shield up so his eyes are kept pure. And guess what happens? The knight turns into a statue. And the squire runs out with that shield over his face, and he gets to the end of the cavern, and it falls in. And he's separated from the knight. But he's safe. He kept his heart pure. He kept his ears, his eyes pure. But he had to decide now what is the right thing to do and what would be the wrong thing to do. He could just run home and be safe, right? But instead he says, I'm going to continue this quest. I'm going to go and I'm going to serve my kingdom. All right, so he goes and he rides along, and that was an admirable decision, don't you think? To do the right thing for someone else and not just yourself. Well, so he's going along and he gets to another big cave, and in that cavern he hears a voice, and here's what the voice says: there is a price for that lantern. Ooh, and it says in here, the voice suddenly hissed. Ah! You want to see the picture of who he was? Bum-ba-da-da! This scary, terrible dragon who stole the lantern. So here's the squire, a young boy. What does he do? He says, what price? What's the price? And he says, your scroll. And so the squire has a choice. He's like, this scroll has carried me through. It's helped me stay pure of heart. It's helped me stay true to what I know I'm supposed to do. It represents the truth. And he reaches down for his scroll, which is like our Bible, right? And he pulls it out. And as he pulls it out, it becomes a huge double-edged sword. And he slays the dragon with it. Woohoo! He slays the dragon and he gets the lantern. It's time for him to go home, but he looks around, and what happens when the lantern was in his hand and the dragon was slain? The knights, all the knights had been turned into statues, came back alive. And they said, you lead the procession home. And he goes, it was an excellent decision. And as he leads home, he goes and he gets back to the king. And the king says, that is a praiseworthy thing that you've done. And he says, I give praise to God. The scroll is what sent me on the right path, right? Without the scroll, without the words that his mom and dad had taught him, without the Bible for us, we could do nothing, right? But he said, I trusted the scroll like we trust our Bible. And that is praiseworthy because we praise God for that. What do you think? Good ending? That's not all. At the very end, there's just a lovely moment that I call lovely. Now, lovely doesn't mean being pretty. Lovely means doing something for others that is just wonderful, okay? And so in the end of the story, I love this ending because all those knights that have been turned into statues come back and they start a little academy and they teach the young children about the lantern. They teach the young children about the scroll. Just like I love teaching you about the Bible, right? It's a lovely thing I get to do every week, and I love you guys, so I'm so glad I get to teach you. All right, so take a look at this. If you haven't read it before, you might want to get it, or if you want to listen to me read it, I'm happy to do that for you again on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. So a great way. I just kind of wanted to show you guys a way that you could put these things into action inside a story. How could you use those and put them into action in your story, in your life? Every day. Look for ways to do that. You think you can do it? I know you guys can. Hey, I've got one more thing for you. Now, when you were deciding what to put into your heart and what to put into your mind, you've got a choice, don't you? So I decided this little bowl of ice cream would be what we're going to put into our heart and our mind, you know? And if I have the choice, I think I might put some marshmallows and some M&Ms and some sprinkles. All right, those are the great things. Those remind me of truth and being noble and right and pure and lovely and excellent. Oh, those M&Ms are excellent and admirable and praiseworthy things, okay? Think of your mind, put the good stuff in there. Your other choice is to take the same beautiful little cup of ice cream, right? This is your mind and your heart. What if you choose instead to put, let me see, I've got some nasty leaves from the garden, an old paper towel from the trash, rotten eggshell. What happens to your heart and mind when you put junk or garbage into it instead of these things? What happens to your heart and mind? We don't want that to happen. I even went out to the yard, thank you to Mr. Chris. I got some, let me see, roly-polies and worms, and I put those in there. That's not what we want to put into our mind. That's not what we want to put into our hearts. We want to put the good stuff. So I hope you guys will fill your mind, fill your heart with things that are true, noble, right, pure, lovely, excellent, admirable, and praiseworthy this week. Think about what those means. Use your flashcards. Work with that with your mom and dad, but spend some time filling yourself, filling your mind, filling your heart with goodness. I love you guys, and I'll see you super soon. Bye.